Hana Kim stood at the gates of the Galactic Defense Academy, her hands shaking as she held her acceptance letter. The massive building stretched high into the purple sky of Centauri Prime. Ships from different worlds flew overhead, carrying students from across the galaxy. She had dreamed of this moment for years. Earth's first student accepted into the most important military school in known space. Her parents had cried when the letter arrived. No human had ever been allowed to study here before. Other students walked past her toward the entrance. They came in all shapes and sizes. Some had blue skin and 4 arms. Others had scales that sparkled in the alien sun. A few floated instead of walking. Hana had studied about different species, but seeing them in person felt strange. "Look at that," said a voice behind her. They actually let a human in. Hana turned around. A tall student with green skin and large eyes was pointing at her. His friends gathered around him, all staring at Hana. "I heard humans are really weak," said another student. This one had fur covering his entire body. "They can barely lift their own weight." "My teacher said they still use primitive weapons on their planet," added a female student with crystal-like skin. "They fight with metal sticks and explosion devices." The green-skinned student laughed. "I bet she won't last a week here. Humans are just animals that learn to talk." More students stopped to look. Hana felt her face getting hot. She wanted to say something back, but her voice seemed stuck in her throat. On Earth, she had been one of the strongest students in her class. She could run for hours without getting tired. She could solve tactical problems that stumped her teachers, but here, surrounded by beings from advanced civilizations, she felt small. "Hey, leave her alone," said a familiar voice. A young man pushed through the crowd. Hana recognized him immediately. Taemin Park, another human. He was in his 2nd year at the academy, one of only 3 humans in the entire school. "Oh, look, another primitive," said the green student. "Are you here to protect your little friend?" Taemin stepped closer to Hana. "Just ignore them," he whispered. "They don't know what they're talking about." "We know plenty," said the furry student. "Humans come from a tiny planet nobody cares about. You should be grateful we even let you study here." "Yeah," agreed the crystal-skinned female. "You should go back to your mud world and play with rocks." The crowd of students laughed. Hana felt tears starting to form in her eyes. She had worked so hard to get here. She had studied every night for 3 years. She had passed tests that most humans couldn't even understand, and now these students were treating her like she was nothing. "Come on," Taemin said softly. "Let's go inside." They walked toward the main entrance together. The other students followed behind them, still making jokes and comments. Hana tried not to listen, but their words hurt anyway. At the entrance stood a tall security gate with scanners and guards. Jiho Choi, a human security officer, was checking students as they entered. He had been working at the academy for 5 years, one of the few humans employed there. "Good morning, Taemin," Jiho said with a smile. Then he looked at Hana. "You must be the new student. Hana Kim, right?" "Yes, sir," Hana replied quietly. "Don't let these other students bother you," Jiho said, glancing at the crowd behind them. "They said the same things about me when I first arrived." "You'll show them what humans can really do," Hana nodded, feeling a little better. At least some people here believed in her. "Okay, just put your hand on the scanner," Jiho instructed. "It will read your identification and let you through." Hana stepped forward and placed her right hand on the blue scanning device. She had done this hundreds of times on Earth. It was a normal part of entering any building. The scanner made a soft humming sound. Then it started flashing. First yellow, then orange, then bright red. A loud alarm began ringing throughout the entrance area. "Earthborn detected," announced a mechanical voice from the scanner. "Do not engage. Threat level, classified." The laughter from the other students stopped immediately. Everyone stared at the flashing red scanner. Even the guards looked confused and worried. "What does that mean?" asked the green-skinned student, his voice no longer mocking. Jiho's face went pale. He quickly pressed several buttons on his control panel, trying to turn off the alarm. "It's probably just a malfunction," he said, but his voice sounded uncertain. "Earthborn detected," the voice repeated. "Do not engage. Threat level classified." More security guards came running. Teachers and staff members appeared in the hallway, all looking concerned. Hana stood frozen with her hand still on the scanner, not understanding what was happening. "Take your hand off," Jiho said urgently. Hana pulled her hand back. The scanner stopped flashing. But the silence that followed felt even worse than the alarm. Commander Kyung-ho Nam, the head of Academy Security, pushed through the crowd. He was a large alien with thick gray skin and small black eyes. Hana had seen his picture in the Academy information packet. "What's the situation?" he demanded. "The scanner activated a warning protocol for the human student," Jiho explained. "I've never seen this before." Commander Nam looked at Hana with an expression she couldn't read. "Are you carrying any weapons or dangerous devices?" "No, sir," Hana replied. "Just my acceptance letter and some clothes." The commander studied her for a long moment. Then he looked at the other students who were still gathered around watching everything. "Everyone move along," he ordered. "Get to your classes. There's nothing to see here." The alien students slowly walked away, but Hana could hear them whispering to each other. The green-skinned student kept looking back at her with fear in his large eyes. "Miss Kim," Commander Nam said, "please come with me. We need to run some additional security checks." "Is there a problem?" Taemin asked. "No problem," the commander replied, but his tone suggested otherwise. "Just standard procedure for unusual readings." As they walked down the hallway, Hana could feel everyone staring at her. Students and teachers alike stepped aside as they passed. Some looked curious, others looked worried. "A few even looked scared, Commander," Hana said quietly. "What did that warning mean? Why did it say not to engage?" Commander Nam didn't answer right away. When he finally spoke, his voice was careful and controlled. "Scanner malfunctions happen sometimes," he said. "Old equipment, you know. We'll get it fixed and have you registered properly." But Hana could tell he was lying. She had grown up around military equipment on Earth. She knew the difference between a malfunction and a real warning. That scanner had been working perfectly fine for all the other students. As they walked deeper into the academy, Hana wondered what the scanner had really detected. What was so dangerous about being from Earth? And why had the laughter stopped so suddenly when that red light started flashing? She had come to the academy to learn about military strategy and galactic defense. She had expected to study hard and prove that humans belonged among the stars. She had never expected to be treated like a threat just for existing. The hallway seemed to stretch on forever as they walked toward the administrative offices. Behind them, Hana could hear students whispering about the human girl who had made the scanner flash red. The girl who was apparently dangerous enough that the system warned people not to engage with her. Hana Kim had wanted to make history as the first human at the Galactic Defense Academy. She just hadn't expected that history to begin with a warning alarm and a mystery she didn't understand. 3 days had passed since the scanner incident, and Hana still felt like everyone was watching her. She sat alone in the academy cafeteria, picking at her food while other students whispered and pointed from across the room. The academy officials had told her the scanner malfunction was fixed. They gave her a new identification card and said everything was normal now. But Hana could see the fear in their eyes when they talked to her. Something was very wrong and nobody would tell her what. "Mind if I sit here?" asked a voice above her. Hana looked up to see a female student with pale blue skin and silver hair. She had forearms and kind purple eyes. Hana had seen her in tactical training class, but they had never spoken. "I'm Min Seo Kang," the student said, sitting down across from Hana. "You're the human everyone's talking about, right?" "I guess so," Hana replied quietly. "Though I don't know why." Min Seo studied her for a moment. "You really don't know, do you? About what happened with the scanner?" "They said it was broken," Hana said. "Just a malfunction. That's what they're telling everyone," Min Seo agreed. "But I've been thinking about it. I've never seen a scanner do that before. And I've been here for 3 years. Hana pushed her food around on her plate. "What do you think it meant?" "I don't know," Min Seo admitted. "But I'd like to find out. If you want, we could try to research it together." Hana felt a small spark of hope. Finally, someone who didn't look at her like she was dangerous or disgusting. "I'd like that," she said. "Thank you." Meanwhile, in the Academy's record archives, Su Jin Yang was having trouble sleeping. As the head archivist, she had access to most of the Academy's historical files. The scanner incident had made her curious about humans and their history with the galactic community. She had started her research expecting to find basic information about Earth and its primitive civilization. Instead, she found huge gaps in the records. Entire sections about human history were marked as classified or had been completely deleted. "That's strange," she muttered to herself, typing commands into her computer terminal. Why would information about a primitive species be classified? She tried different search terms: Earth conflict, human military, project pacification. Each search returned the same message: access denied, military classification level 9. Level 9 classification was reserved for the most dangerous military secrets, information about weapons that could destroy entire planets, battle plans for wars against galactic threats. Why would anything about humans require that level of security? Sujin leaned back in her chair thinking. She had been the Academy's archivist for 12 years. She had never seen such extensive classification around a single species before. Even the records about the deadly Vortec War were only level 6 classified. She tried a different approach, searching for general galactic history from 200 years ago. Most of the records from that time period were intact, except for a 2-year gap between 2187 and 2189. Those years were completely missing from the historical database. 2 whole years, she whispered. What happened during those 2 years? She managed to find one small fragment that had survived the deletion. It was part of a military communication from Admiral Rextar of the Centauri fleet. Casualties continue to mount. Recommend immediate withdrawal from Earth sector. Human tactical capabilities exceed all projections. Project pacification has failed. We cannot. The rest of the message was corrupted, but it was enough to make Sujin's blood run cold. The Centauri fleet was the most powerful military force in the galaxy. What could possibly make them retreat? The next morning, Hana attended her first combat training class. The instructor, Yejin Park, was a veteran military officer from the planet Vega. She had been teaching at the academy for 15 years. Today we'll practice basic physical conditioning, Yejin announced to the class of 30 students. We'll start with gravity resistance training. She led them to a room with adjustable gravity controls. We'll begin at 1.5 times standard galactic gravity, she said. This simulates combat conditions on high-gravity worlds. The other students groaned as the gravity increased. Hana watched them struggle to stand upright under the additional weight. Some of the smaller species could barely move. This is impossible, complained the green-skinned student who had mocked Hana at the entrance. His name was Bora Lee, and he was from a low-gravity world where people were naturally tall and thin. Combat is never easy, Yejin replied. You must learn to function in difficult conditions. Hana found the exercise surprisingly easy. The increased gravity felt heavy but not unbearable. On Earth, gravity was naturally higher than galactic standard. She had grown up in conditions that were actually harder than this training simulation. Very good, Miss Kim, Yejin said, noticing Hana's steady performance. You seem to adapt well to increased gravity. Thank you, ma'am, Hana replied. Bora Lee stared at her in disbelief. How is she not struggling? Humans are supposed to be weak. Yejin frowned at his comment. Strength comes in many forms, Mr. Lee. Perhaps you should focus on your own performance instead of judging others. After class, Minseo approached Hana in the hallway. That was amazing, she said. You made that gravity training look easy. It wasn't that hard, Hana said honestly. We have similar conditions on Earth for sports training. Minseo's purple eyes widened. Your planet trains children in high gravity? Not intentionally, Hana explained. That's just how our world is. The gravity is naturally stronger than most places. But the Academy database says Earth is a low-development world with easy living conditions, Minseo said, looking confused. Hana shook her head. That's not right. Earth is actually pretty difficult to live on. We have extreme weather, dangerous animals, and frequent natural disasters. Most humans train from childhood just to survive. Minseo was quiet for a long moment, processing this information. Hana, she said finally, I think someone has been lying about your planet. That evening, Sujin made a breakthrough in her research. She found an old maintenance log from the Academy's computer systems. During a routine backup in 2190, someone had accidentally copied a few classified files to the general database before they were caught and deleted. The files contained fragments of military reports from something called the Earth conflict. Most of the information was still corrupted, but she could read enough to understand that it had been a war. A war between the galactic community and humans. One fragment made her hands shake as she read it. Day 847 of the siege. Human forces have broken through our third defensive line. Their soldiers require no supply lines and can function in environments that kill our troops within minutes. Recommend total withdrawal from Earth sector. The species is too dangerous to engage directly. Another fragment was even more disturbing. Human relocation protocol approved by emergency vote. All humans to be contained on homeworld. Cover story, primitive species under galactic protection. Truth, prevention of galactic extinction event. Sujin stared at her computer screen in shock. The humans weren't primitive. They were being imprisoned on their own planet because they were too dangerous to be allowed into galactic society. And now one of them was sitting in classrooms, eating in the cafeteria, and outperforming students who had trained their entire lives for military service. She thought about Hana Kim, the quiet young woman who had made the scanner flash red with warnings, the girl who could handle high gravity like it was nothing, the student who seemed completely unaware of her own capabilities. Sujin realized she had stumbled onto the biggest secret in galactic history. The question was, what should she do with this information? As she sat in the dark archive room, surrounded by the truth that the galaxy had tried so hard to hide, Sujin made a decision. Hana Kim deserved to know what she really was, and maybe, just maybe, it was time for the rest of the galaxy to remember why they had been so afraid of humans in the first place. She began copying the files to a secure storage device. Tomorrow, she would find a way to contact the human student. It was time for Hana to learn the truth about Earth, about the war, and about why the scanner had warned everyone not to engage with her. The galaxy had spent 200 years trying to forget about human capabilities. But secrets this big never stayed buried forever. Hana was studying in the academy library when someone sat down across from her. She looked up to see Sujin Yang, the head archivist. The older woman had nervous energy about her, constantly looking around as if checking for listeners. "Miss Kim," Sujin said quietly, "I need to speak with you privately. It's about the scanner incident." Hana closed her textbook. "Did you find out what caused the malfunction?" "That's what I need to discuss," Sujin replied. "But not here. Too many people around. Meet me in Archive Room C tonight at midnight, and don't tell anyone." Before Hana could ask questions, Sujin stood up and walked away quickly. Hana watched her go, wondering what could be so secret that it required a midnight meeting. That night, Hana made her way through the dark hallways to the archive section. The academy felt different at night, with only emergency lighting casting long shadows on the walls. She found Archive Room C and knocked softly. Sujin opened the door and pulled her inside. The room was filled with old computers and storage devices. The air smelled like dust and old electronics. "What I'm about to show you could change everything," Sujin said, leading Hana to a computer terminal. "But you have a right to know the truth about your own species." She typed commands into the computer, bringing up files that Hana had never seen before. "The scanner didn't malfunction," Sujin explained. "It was working perfectly. It detected that you're from Earth and automatically issued a threat warning." "A threat warning?" Hana asked. "But I'm not dangerous." "According to these files, you are," Sujin said grimly. "Your entire species is classified as a galactic-level threat. And it has nothing to do with your technology or weapons." She pulled up a document marked, "Planetary Classification Earth." Hana read the screen with growing amazement. "Class X Death World," she read aloud. "What does that mean?" "It means your planet is considered one of the most dangerous environments in known space," Sujin explained. "Look at these environmental readings." The data scrolled across the screen. Earth's gravity was 3 times stronger than galactic standard. The atmospheric pressure was so high it would crush most alien species. The temperature variations would kill visitors from 90% of known worlds. "This can't be right," Hana said. "Earth isn't that dangerous. People live there just fine." "Humans live there," Sujin corrected. "But look at this biological analysis." More data appeared. Studies of human physiology compared to other galactic species. The results were shocking. Human bone density was 5 times greater than average. Human muscle efficiency was off the charts. Human endurance capabilities exceeded anything else in the galactic database. According to this, Sujin continued, humans evolved in conditions that would be considered extreme torture for most species. Your normal childhood activities would kill alien children. Hana thought about her life on Earth, playing in thunderstorms, swimming in rough ocean waves, hiking in mountains where the air was thin, running for hours in heat that made her sweat but never stopped her. But we're not trying to be dangerous, she protested. We're just living our lives. That's exactly what makes you terrifying, said a new voice from the doorway. Both women turned to see a maintenance worker entering the room. She was human, with short black hair and kind eyes. Hana had seen her around the academy but never spoken to her. Who are you? Soo-jin asked suspiciously. Dayun Shin, the woman replied. I'm not really a maintenance worker. I'm a historian from Earth, and I've been waiting for the right time to contact Hana. A historian? Hana asked. What are you doing here? Dayun sat down at another computer terminal. I'm documenting the truth about what happened 200 years ago. The truth they don't want you to know. She brought up more files, these ones showing images of space battles and destroyed ships. There was a war, Hana, between humans and the rest of the galaxy. And humanity won. The images showed massive battles in space, human ships fighting against entire alien fleets. But the human ships were smaller, fewer in number. Yet in every image it was the alien ships that were destroyed or retreating. I don't understand, Hana said. If we won, why are we stuck on Earth? Why is everyone afraid of us? Because winning scared them more than losing would have, Dayun explained. Watch this. She played a video recording from an alien military camera. It showed human soldiers fighting on an alien world, but they weren't fighting like normal soldiers. They were moving through environments that should have killed them instantly. This battle took place on Kepler 442b, Dayun narrated. The atmosphere is mostly methane and the temperature is minus 80 degrees. The alien soldiers needed full environmental suits and could only operate for short periods. In the video, humans were fighting in just basic uniforms. No environmental suits, no special breathing equipment. They moved easily through terrain that the aliens found almost impossible to navigate. How are they surviving that? Soo-jin asked in amazement. Humans can hold their breath for several minutes, Dayun explained. We can function in extreme cold by regulating our body temperature. We can survive in low-oxygen environments that would kill most species in seconds. The video continued, showing human soldiers adapting to conditions that left alien forces helpless. They climbed cliffs that were too steep for alien equipment. They moved through storms that grounded alien aircraft. They fought continuously for days without the supply lines that alien armies required. One human battalion defeated 3 entire alien fleets, Dayun said quietly. Not because of superior technology or weapons, but because humans can survive and fight in conditions where other species simply die. Hana watched the recordings with a mixture of pride and horror. These were her people, her species, but she had never thought of humans as being particularly tough or dangerous. This is why the scanner warns people not to engage. Dayun continued. Every human is essentially a walking weapon that doesn't know its own strength. She pulled up more recent data from Hana's time at the academy. Look at your performance in training exercises. The data showed Hana's scores compared to other students. In every physical category, she was performing at levels that should have been impossible. What she considered easy was breaking academy records. The high-gravity training that left other students exhausted? Dayun asked. That was actually lower gravity than your home planet. You were fighting in handicapped conditions and still outperforming everyone. But I'm not trying to be better than anyone, Hana protested. I'm just doing what feels normal. Exactly, Dayun said. That's what terrifies them. You're not even trying and you're already beyond what their best soldiers can achieve. Soo-jin was reading through more files. According to this, the war ended with a treaty. Humans agreed to stay on Earth in exchange for the galaxy leaving them alone. It wasn't really a choice, Dayun corrected. The Galactic Council realized they couldn't defeat humans through military force. So they made a deal. They would portray humans as primitive and harmless, and in return, humanity would remain on Earth and not expand into galactic territory. But some humans left anyway, Hana said, thinking of Taiman and Jiho. A few, Dayun agreed. Always monitored, always controlled. The galaxy allows a small number of humans to exist in their society, but only under careful watch. They're studying us, trying to understand how we work. Hana felt overwhelmed by everything she was learning. Her entire understanding of humanity's place in the galaxy was wrong. They weren't the primitive species being helped by advanced civilizations. They were the apex predators being carefully contained. What happens now? She asked. Now that I know the truth? Dayun and Soo-jin exchanged glances. That depends on you, Dayun said. You can pretend you never learned this and continue living under their restrictions. Or you can decide what to do with the truth. Hana looked at the computer screens showing the real history of her species. Images of human soldiers thriving in conditions that killed other species. Data proving that humans were physically superior to every other known life form. Records of a war that the galaxy had tried to erase from history. How many other humans know? She asked. More than the galaxy thinks, Daun replied. But not enough. Most humans on Earth still believe we're just another species among many. They don't know what we really are. Hana thought about her fellow students at the academy. How they had laughed at her, called her primitive, treated her like she was less than them. All while being terrified enough to program their scanners to warn against engaging with her. They're afraid of us, she said slowly, understanding dawning in her voice. Terrified, Daun confirmed. And they should be. Because if humanity ever decides to leave Earth in significant numbers, there's nothing in the galaxy that could stop us. As Hana sat in the archive room, surrounded by the truth about her species, she realized that her time at the academy had changed everything. She had come here to learn, but instead, she had discovered that humanity was not the student in this relationship. Humanity was the teacher that the galaxy was too afraid to learn from. Word of Hana's true nature had begun to spread quietly through the academy, not the official story about scanner malfunctions, but whispered rumors about the human student who could do impossible things. Students who had trained with her were talking to their friends. Teachers were sharing concerned looks in faculty meetings. Yejin Park, Hana's combat instructor, sat in her office reviewing student performance data. The numbers didn't make sense. Hana Kim was consistently performing at levels that should have been physically impossible for any known species. There was a knock at her door. "Come in," she called. An elderly alien entered her office. He had gray skin marked with old battle scars and walked with a slight limp. Yejin recognized him immediately. General Hyunwoo Lee, retired from the Galactic Defense Force. He sometimes visited the academy to give lectures about military history. "General Lee," she said, standing respectfully. "What brings you here?" "I came to talk about your human student," he said, sitting down heavily in the chair across from her desk. "Hana Kim? What about her?" Yejin asked carefully. Hyunwoo was quiet for a long moment, staring out the window at the academy training grounds. "How much do you know about the Earth conflict?" he asked finally. "The what?" Yejin replied. "I've never heard of any conflict involving Earth." "No, you wouldn't have," Hyunwoo said bitterly. "They made sure to erase it from all the history books. But I was there. I commanded a battle cruiser during the war." Yejin felt a chill run down her spine. "What war?" "The one that nearly ended galactic civilization," Hyunwoo said. 200 years ago, when we first made contact with humans, it lasted 2 years and cost millions of lives. And we lost." He stood up and walked to the window, watching students practice combat maneuvers in the courtyard below. "Your student down there performing those training exercises like they're children's games? She's doing exactly what her ancestors did to us during the war." "I don't understand," Yejin said. "The official records say humans are a primitive species under galactic protection." Hyunwoo laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Primitive? We called them that after the war to make ourselves feel better. The truth is, humans are the most dangerous species the galaxy has ever encountered." He turned back to face her. "I watched human soldiers function in the vacuum of space for up to 10 minutes without environmental suits. I saw them survive direct hits from energy weapons that would vaporize most species. I witnessed them adapt to any battlefield condition we could create." Yejin stared at him in disbelief. "That's impossible." "I thought so too," Hyunwoo replied. "Until I saw it with my own eyes. Humans don't just survive in extreme conditions. They thrive in them. What we consider deadly environments, they consider challenging fun." He sat back down, his expression growing darker. "The final battle was on Proxima Station. We had them surrounded with 3 full battle fleets. The humans had 1 small transport ship and maybe 30 soldiers." "What happened?" Yejin asked, though she was beginning to fear the answer. "They boarded our command ship," Hyunwoo said quietly, "in the middle of a space battle, with no reinforcements, wearing basic armor that should have offered no protection against our weapons. 30 humans took control of a battlecruiser designed for a crew of 3,000. Yejin felt her hands shaking. "How?" "They moved through our ship like it was their natural environment," Hyunwoo explained. "Our security systems, our weapons, our defenses, nothing slowed them down. They adapted faster than our computers could track them. He paused, lost in the painful memory. The human who led them was a young woman, probably about the same age as your student. She looked so normal, so harmless. Right up until she started fighting. What did she do? She disabled our entire bridge crew in less than 30 seconds, Hyunwoo said. No weapons, no special equipment. Just her bare hands and reflexes that were faster than anything we had ever seen. She could have killed us all, but she chose not to. That's when I realized we weren't fighting soldiers. We were fighting a species that was holding back. Yejin thought about Hana, how she always seemed to move carefully in training, as if she was being cautious not to hurt anyone. You think they were restraining themselves? I know they were, Hyunwoo confirmed. After we surrendered, I talked to some of the human soldiers. They told me they had been ordered to use minimum force. They were trying not to cause unnecessary casualties. But if they were holding back, why did the war end with their surrender? Hyunwoo shook his head. They didn't surrender. We did. The Galactic Council realized that fighting humans was impossible. So they negotiated a treaty. Humans would return to Earth and stay there. In exchange, we would leave them alone and never speak of what had really happened. The cover-up, Yejin said, understanding beginning to dawn. The biggest lie in galactic history, Hyunwoo agreed. We told everyone that humans were primitive and we were protecting them. The truth was that we were protecting ourselves from them. Meanwhile, in another part of the academy, a group of students had gathered in secret. Min Seo-kang had told her friends about Hana's unusual abilities, and word was spreading among the younger students who were less influenced by official propaganda. I've been watching her in combat training, said Sang-min Kim, a third-year student from the Vega system. She moves like she's fighting in slow motion, like everyone else is too slow to keep up with her. My roommate is in her tactical strategy class, added another student. He says she solves complex battle scenarios in minutes that take the rest of the class hours to figure out. Min Seo nodded. And she doesn't even seem to realize she's doing anything special. She acts like this is all normal for her? Maybe it is normal, Sang-min suggested. Maybe the official information about humans is wrong. What do you mean? Min Seo asked. I've been thinking about it, Sang-min explained. What if humans aren't primitive at all? What if they're actually more advanced than us and someone doesn't want us to know? The group fell silent, considering this possibility. It would explain many things about Hana that didn't make sense according to official records. There's one way to find out, Min Seo said finally. We could ask her directly. Ask her what? Sang-min replied. If her species is secretly superior to ours. Ask her about Earth, Min Seo clarified. About what life is really like there. If it's as primitive and easy as the official records claim, she should be struggling here. But she's not struggling at all. Back in Yejin's office, General Hyunwoo was finishing his story. The treaty was signed in secret. Humans agreed to voluntary isolation on Earth. The Galactic Council agreed to portray them as a protected primitive species. Both sides got what they wanted, until now, Yejin said. Until Hana came here. Exactly, Hyunwoo confirmed. The treaty allowed for limited human presence in galactic society, but always under observation. Students like Hana Kim are essentially test subjects. The council is studying them, trying to understand human capabilities. And if they decide humans are too dangerous, Hyunwoo's expression grew grim. There are contingency plans, sealed orders that would go into effect if humans ever became a perceived threat again. What kind of contingency plans? The kind that would end human civilization permanently, he said quietly. The galaxy is too afraid of humans to let them exist freely, but they're also too afraid to attack Earth directly because they know they would lose. Yejin felt sick. So Hana is in danger just by being here. All humans are in danger, Hyunwoo corrected, as long as the galaxy sees them as a threat. But maybe that perception can be changed. How? By showing that humans can coexist peacefully with other species, he explained. By proving that they're not the conquering force we feared they would become. But what if the fear is justified? Yejin asked. What if humans really are too dangerous? Hyunwoo looked at her seriously. After fighting against them, I can tell you that humans are absolutely capable of conquering the entire galaxy if they choose to. But in 200 years of isolation, they haven't tried. They've stayed on their world, living their lives, not bothering anyone. Until now, Yejin repeated. Until now, he agreed. Hana Kim represents something new. A human who knows both worlds. She could be the key to permanent peace between humans and the galaxy. Or she could be the spark that starts another war, Ye-jin said quietly. Hyun-woo nodded grimly. That depends on what we do next, and whether the galaxy is ready to face the truth about humanity. As night fell over the academy, the truth about the Earth conflict spread in whispers and secret meetings. Students and faculty began to realize that everything they had been taught about humans was a lie designed to hide a terrifying reality. Humanity was not the primitive species they protected. Humanity was the apex predator they feared, and one young human woman was about to discover just how much power that gave her. The truth could not be contained any longer. By the end of the week, rumors about Hana and the real history of humans had spread throughout the academy. Students whispered in hallways about the Earth conflict. Faculty members requested classified files they had never known existed. The careful lie that had held galactic society together for 200 years was falling apart. Commander Kyung-ho Nam sat in his office, receiving urgent communications from the Galactic Council. The situation at the academy had attracted attention from the highest levels of government. Important people were asking difficult questions about why a human student was performing impossible feats and causing panic among other species. There was a knock at his door. "Enter," he called. Jin-Woo Cho, a representative from the Galactic Council, walked into the office. He was a tall, imposing figure with silver skin and cold black eyes. Hana had never seen his species before, but something about him felt dangerous. "Commander Nam," Jin-Woo said without greeting, "we have a problem." "Yes, sir," the commander replied nervously. "The human student has been causing some disruption." "More than disruption," Jin-Woo corrected. "She's threatening the stability of our entire social order. The treaty with Earth is very specific about how humans are to be integrated into galactic society." "What are my orders?" Commander Nam asked. Jin-Woo placed a data tablet on the desk. "Miss Kim is to be given 3 choices. She can return to Earth immediately and never leave again. She can submit to voluntary memory modification to remove her knowledge of human capabilities, or she can be detained indefinitely as a threat to galactic security." Commander Nam looked at the tablet with horror. "Sir, she's just a student. She hasn't done anything wrong. She exists." Jin-Woo replied coldly. "That's enough. Humans are too dangerous to be allowed freedom in galactic society. The treaty exists for everyone's protection." "What about the other humans here? Taemin Park and Jiho Choi? They will be dealt with separately," Jin-Woo said. "But Miss Kim is the immediate concern. She's demonstrated capabilities that exceed our worst projections. Action must be taken." Meanwhile, Hana was in the Academy's training center with Minseo and several other students who had become her friends. Despite everything that had happened, she was trying to maintain some normalcy in her life. "Hana," Minseo said carefully, "we need to talk about what's happening around here." "You mean the rumors about humans?" Hana asked. "I've heard them too." "They're not just rumors," Sangmin Kim said. "Some of us have been doing research. The official story about Earth doesn't match what we've observed about you." Hana sighed. She had been hoping to avoid this conversation, but she knew it was inevitable. "What do you want to know?" "Everything," Minseo said simply. "What is Earth really like? What are humans really capable of? And why is everyone so afraid of you?" Before Hana could answer, alarms began ringing throughout the academy. Emergency lights flashed red in the hallways. An announcement echoed over the communication system. "All students report to designated safe areas immediately." "This is not a drill. What's happening?" Sangmin asked. Through the windows, they could see Academy security forces surrounding the training center. Armed guards in full battle armor were taking positions around the building. It looked like they were preparing for war. "They're here for me," Hana realized with growing dread. The training center doors burst open. Commander Nam entered with a squad of security officers. Behind them walked Jin-Woo Cho, his cold eyes fixed on Hana. "Miss Kim," the commander said formally, "you need to come with us." "Why?" Hana asked, but she was already beginning to understand. "You represent a clear and present danger to galactic security," Jin-Woo announced to the room. "Under the terms of the Earth Treaty, you must be contained." Hana's friends stepped closer to her, forming a protective circle. "She hasn't done anything wrong," Minseo protested. "Her existence is wrong," Jin-Woo replied. "Humans are not permitted to demonstrate their true capabilities in galactic society. It creates panic and threatens the established order." "So you're going to punish her for being too good at things?" Sang-min demanded. We're going to offer her choices, Jinwoo said. He gestured to the guards who raised their weapons. Miss Kim, you can return to Earth and never leave again. You can submit to memory modification, or you can be detained as a hostile entity. Hana looked around at her friends, at the academy she had dreamed of attending, at the future she had planned for herself. All of it was being taken away because she was too human for their comfort. And if I refuse all three options? She asked quietly. That is not permitted, Jinwoo replied. Hana felt something change inside her. For weeks she had been careful, holding back, trying not to stand out too much. She had been unconsciously restraining herself, trying to fit into their expectations of what a human should be. But now she was being punished anyway. For being too strong, too fast, too adaptable. For being exactly what evolution had made her. You know what? Hana said, her voice growing stronger. I think I choose a fourth option. There is no fourth option, Jinwoo said firmly. There is now, Hana replied. What happened next took less than 30 seconds, but it would be talked about for generations. Hana moved faster than any of the guards could track. She wasn't trying to hurt anyone, just to disable them. One moment they were aiming their weapons at her. The next moment they were on the ground, unconscious but unharmed. Jinwoo himself tried to draw a weapon, but Hana was already beside him. She took the device from his hand so quickly that he never saw her move. She didn't hurt him, just held him gently but firmly so he couldn't escape. This is exactly what we feared, Jinwoo said, but his voice was shaking now. No, Hana corrected. What you feared was humans who wanted to conquer you. I don't want to conquer anyone. I just want to be left alone to live my life. She released him and stepped back, but I'm not going to be caged either. Commander Nam and the remaining guards stared at her in shock. The most elite security force in the galaxy had been defeated by one young woman who wasn't even trying to hurt anyone. How did you do that? Mincio whispered. I stopped holding back, Hana said simply. At that moment, her communication device buzzed. She looked at the message and smiled. It was from Eunbi Yoon, a human contact on Earth that Daeun had connected her with. Hana, the message read, we've been monitoring the situation at your academy. It's time for humanity to make some changes. Are you ready? Hana looked around the room at her alien friends, at the guards she had defeated without injuring, at Jinwoo, who was still shaking from witnessing abilities he thought were impossible. What does that mean? Commander Nam asked nervously. Hana typed a response to Eunbi. I'm ready. Within minutes, her device buzzed with messages from humans across the galaxy. Not just the few dozen that the Galactic Council knew about, but hundreds of them. Humans working in every major civilization. All of them hiding their true capabilities. All of them tired of pretending to be less than they were. We're not going back to Earth, Hana announced to the room. And we're not hiding anymore either. The treaty. Jinwoo started to protest. The treaty was based on fear and lies. Hana interrupted. It's time for a new agreement. One based on truth. She walked to the window and looked out at the academy grounds. Other students had gathered outside, watching the security situation with growing excitement. Word was spreading quickly that the human student had done something incredible. For 200 years you've told yourselves that humans are primitive and harmless, Hana said to Jinwoo. You made us agree to that lie because you were afraid of what we might do. But fear isn't a foundation for peace. She turned back to face the room. I'm not your enemy. None of us are. But we're not your prisoners either. Her communication device buzzed again. This time it was a message from the human government on Earth. Treaty renegotiation approved. Time to show them who we really are. Hana smiled and looked directly at Jinwoo. I think it's time for the Galactic Council to meet with some real human representatives. This is madness, Jinwoo said. You'll start another war. No, Hana replied calmly. We're going to prevent one. By making sure everyone understands the truth about humanity. She walked toward the door, then paused and looked back at her friends. The scanner was right, you know. You probably shouldn't engage with humans if you're planning to fight us. But if you want to be friends instead, we're the best allies you could ever have. As Hana left the training center, followed by her alien friends and watched by security forces who no longer knew what to do, the galaxy began to realize that everything was about to change. The human girl they had laughed at by the gate was no longer hiding what she was, and neither was the rest of her species. The age of lies was ending. The age of truth about humanity was about to begin. and the galaxy would never be the same.